Getting out and searching for wildlife starts with a pair of binoculars and a little bit of curiosity. On today's nature walk, I'm trying to look for nuthatches. These are really cool birds that kind of work up and down on the side of the bark of the trees. They have really interesting habits as they look for food. At first I wasn't sure what was messing around in this nest pile, but it turns out to actually be the adorable little chickadee. You can clearly see where they get the name from. Their call has that unique chickadee-dee-dee sound, so it's a perfect name for the species. Little birds like this move very fast, and it's tough to film them, especially if you want to see what they're eating, so you really need to be patient. But after a while, I started to appreciate exactly what they were doing. It turns out they were actually finding food by stripping into the fibers of this brush, and little by little, they could get to larvae of different insects that were actually hidden in the wood. See that? Just fantastic. Nearby, I finally find a nuthatch. That low pant sound that you hear, that pant pant, that's very common with this species. This is the white-breasted nuthatch, an awesome bird. It actually kind of looks similar to a chickadee, but it's a little bit more plump. The nuthatches have the amazing ability to run up and down the side of the tree like this. It's incredible when you think about it. They're absolute acrobats. They can hang perfectly upside down and walk straight down the bark. Incredible. The white-breasted nuthatches are amazing. Now this nearby family of robins is fattening up on these berries. Normally robins are associated with worms and insects, but they do tend to eat berries when they need to. Just like this sparrow, they're well adapted to their environment. Knowing their diet will also help you find their habitat. Now to find the red-breasted nuthatch, we'll look in a different spot. You need to be near conifer trees, and I've spotted something up in this pine that makes me think we might be lucky right now. Overwhelmingly so, looking in conifers is the place to find the red-breasted nuthatch. And after a few minutes, we get our first look at this incredible cousin to the white-breasted nuthatch. They have similar habits in that they'll eat seeds in the wintertime to make up their insect diet that they normally eat during the summertime. So they're smart enough to be diversified as far as their food sources. Working the bark like this can pay off, and clearly there's some carpenter ants and things that they could find. But inside the pine cones, there's always seeds available. So in reality, the best way to find a red-breasted nuthatch is just to kick back, look for an evergreen patch, and look up into the pine cones. And if you hear that little pant sound that's very common with the nuthatches, sooner or later you'll certainly find one. An interesting fact about the name nuthatch: it's actually a misnomer. It was derived incorrectly from the word nuthack. And this came from a field description of the way they had that behavior of gathering seeds. But personally, I like the term nuthatch. It seems to really go with the species. Now, I've heard talk from some folks that red-breasted nuthatches will actually visit the bird feeder, but I've only seen that myself with white-breasted nuthatches. Now, I don't generally think of the nuthatches as big singers, but something amazing happened while I was watching this particular nuthatch. He started to sing just non-stop, almost like an Elvis Presley of the nuthatch environment. Whether defending a territory or looking for love, this was one amazingly vocal red-breasted nuthatch. Now there's more going on than what meets the eye. If you look really carefully, look at the wing flaps and the tail flaps. Now, if I'm filming at 32 frames a second, you would think that I could pause on one specific frame and show you the image of their wings wide open, but I can't. I tried. The fact is, they're flapping so incredibly fast that it's still a blur, even at a single frame of this footage. Just incredible. Now, what I can't figure out is why they would do that. I mean, just imagine, can another red-breasted nuthatch actually detect how fast those wing beats are? Or is there some sound involvement? I really don't know the answer. So this is going to go on my list of things to do in the future. One day, I need to film this same behavior on a red-breasted nuthatch with an incredibly high-speed camera and then figure out exactly what's going on with those lightning-fast body movements. It's true, you can spend a lifetime studying Mother Nature and never be bored. This really was an amazing nature walk. For all the beauty I find looking at the nuthatches, I'm still left with incredible mysteries. The incredible thing about wildlife is the closer you look, the more you find. Thank you so much for joining me on this nature walk. I'm Mark Fraser, and I'll see you again very soon.